Let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Assemble. Welcome back to the show. Today we're going to have some fun because this Saturday we have SummerSlam in Las Vegas. I'm very excited. I hope you are too. I can't wait to see what the heck is going to go down with any of these matches. And also, just sidebar, I'm very curious to see what the heck the outcome with NXT is going to be and like the status of Adam Cole. That's a whole other topic, but today on the show, it is predictions time for the biggest summer event, their WrestleMania of the summer. It's all very interesting. If you guys go on to enjoy this episode, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up. It helps the YouTube algorithm. We are on the way almost to 4,000 subscribers. You are all fantastic. Thank you very much for supporting the show and getting us this far. Now let's get into the first matchup on this card, shall we? We've got Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal. This match is just about a sword. It's about Jinder wanting Drew's sword. He doesn't like Drew. Jinder's got his guys, his henchmen with him. They have also been almost hit by sword, and Drew is going to try to hit Jinder with sword, and I believe try to decapitate him. The feud's got not much going on. It's kind of like a Raw main event feud. Brought Drew down a little bit. Nothing for Drew to do in the main event at this time. So we got Drew and Jinder. I'm glad to see Jinder actually doing something with Drew. It's fun. The feud is entertaining enough. They got to give us some end to this where Drew ends up using the sword on Jinder, or tries to hit him but doesn't, and he gets out of the way. I'm not totally invested in this one. It's kind of just there. If anything, I'm going to say Drew McIntyre goes over on Jinder Mahal. I think he's going to beat him clean. I don't know if Drew's going to use the sword, but we're going to get the moment at the end where Drew is holding his sword up almighty high because he is the Scottish swordsman of sorts. I don't get why. I don't get it. I don't get why he needs the sword. He can't use the sword. He can't stab the man with sword. Now we'll see what happens. United States Championship is on the line for this one. Sheamus versus Damien Priest. Now, I like what they've been doing with Damien Priest by bringing him back a little bit on TV. They're trying to build him up into something. I think feuding with Sheamus is a great idea. Putting him in the US title mix is great because there is no US scene right now. Sheamus is still doing great work. I've loved everything he's done during COVID era in the Thunderdome. Damien Priest has still been kind of doing some stuff with The Miz, John Morrison on the side. And then they've kind of thrusted Sheamus in there. For this one, I am going to say Sheamus goes over, retains the US title, because I don't think Damien Priest is there quite yet. I think he's still got some stuff to do when it comes to The Miz. I think he still needs that one-on-one match with him to get that payoff, which they might do as just kind of the feud in the fall. You got John Morrison in the mix too, where you can see that he's turning on The Miz. And Sheamus has just been a good, strong US champion where he wants to fight. He's entertaining enough. I don't see any reason why to take this off Sheamus yet. Give Sheamus a little bit more to work with and run with as US champion to say he beat Damien Priest, but give Priest a strong showing. Show him why he can be a contender for the US title, but I do think that Priest is going to lose. Sheamus goes up. SmackDown Tag Team Championships, the Usos versus the Mysterios. Now this one, Matt is interested in. Why? Because I am not a big fan of Dominic Mysterio, but what I do like is that Dom seems like he's going down the path of turning on Rey. So what I think is going to happen for this one, my prediction is that we're actually going to get the Usos retain to keep the whole family bloodline thing strong. I don't think it makes sense to drop the titles right now, the tag titles with Roman in the mix there at the top. It keeps the Usos strong. It keeps the tribal chief strong and the whole bloodline thing very, very strong. I think they still need that going into the fall to be much more dominant. Also, we're getting down the road and getting into the realm of talking about an upcoming draft in like October. And I like to see them shake up the tag team division a lot. Like make a tag division, like make one. Unify the titles, do something else. But anyways, I like to see that the Usos go over, Usos retain this one, and I like to see Rey and Dominic kind of chirp at each other at the end, get a little bit in each other's faces. Rey has been obviously the father figure, he is the daddy, and I like to see that Rey is like disappointed that maybe Dom is getting hot-headed, and Dominic is trying to go off and do his own thing, and it costs them the titles. Maybe he thought he could win and do it himself, and he doesn't tag in Daddy, and then he makes Daddy mad, and then Dom, maybe he shoves Rey down to the ground. That could be enough. They gotta tease something. I think that a turn for Dominic would be cool. It'd be something for Rey to work with, and he gets to go heel and face, son versus daddy. It'd be a good match when they do that, maybe at Survivor Series. Can they put like a kid on a ladder Remember when Eddie and Ray did the contract for Dom? And it was like Dom on a pole match, basically. Dom on a ladder. Maybe they could do something like that, but Dom doesn't have a kid yet. But they get the whole family dynamic in there. Something for the Mysterios to work on. Usos can move on, do something else. Try and feud with some other tag team that's out there. Maybe they'll go up against Street Profits or something. Who knows? But Usos are going to retain this one, in my opinion. SmackDown Women's Championship match. Bianca Belair, the champion, versus Sasha Banks, making her return, making her comeback, going heel for a 5th time, and taking on Bianca Belair in this one. I think this is going to be a great match. I have high hopes, high expectations for this one. I'm kind of torn because on one hand, I think having the big WrestleMania moment between Bianca and Sasha, phenomenal. I loved it. That was killer main event WrestleMania. That was one of those big moments, big highlights. And fantastic to see Bianca become women's champion. But I do think that it does more right now if Sasha wins the women's championship. Sasha as a heel champ, I think just brings a little bit more to it. She can work really well as a heel. I don't need Sasha chasing for the title either. She's been pretty dominant and focused on Bianca, and I think that this one, it's a good story to have where Bianca comes up short. Let her chase. Bianca has a good role when it comes to chasing for the title, so I'd like to see her go back and do the chase against Sasha. They basically just repeat WrestleMania all over again by doing this. They could possibly insert somebody else into the mix, like Becky Lynch if she makes a return, but right now, I think I'm going to actually go and switch gears and go with Sasha is actually going to win the women's championship at SummerSlam. And then you have Bianca is actually going to lose that one. Next up, Alexa Bliss versus Eva Marie with Doudrop in the corner. This thing has just got no heat. Like it's just vignettes. It's just the backstage segments where Alexa Bliss just laughs a lot and giggles in her swing. Eva Marie has some sort of problem with her. Doudrop is hypnotized by the doll that winked at her once on Raw. It's all very just silly and not in a good way. This match is going to be whatever. Unfortunately, and I am a fan of Alexa Bliss and her work, she's great. She's done everything she can, but I think this is, you know what this is? It's not filthy. It's not dirty. Get your mind out of the gutter. It's that they've just like sucked all of the life out of this character. And since Wyatt is gone, it just makes less sense that she is this character. Something needs to happen here, but I don't think it is. I think that we are going to get a very, very quick squash match. I think Bliss is going to win and beat Eva Marie. There is zero reason why Eva Marie would win other than Doudrop interferes and takes out Bliss. But I don't think that they're going to do that. I think Eva Marie is going to run away in the ring and stuff and try to get away from her. Bliss is going to get a move on her real fast, end the match. And then I think Eva is just going to go and start yelling at Doudrop, and Doudrop will turn on her. And that will establish them to have a feud or just split off and move forward. And I think Bliss needs to get off TV for a while and redo the character somehow and rebrand it, because I just don't think it works anymore. And the fear too is that fans turn on this very quickly because of how this is all structured. Eva Marie is not a wrestler. The storyline is very, very flat. And Alexa Bliss is the only one that can carry this match. I really think that they need to get in and out of there really fast with this one, not make it a big thing, because the fans can turn very quickly on this and start chanting for Wyatt or we want Wyatt. And they don't want that on their TV. Alexa Bliss is going to win. Shenanigans are going to happen. Raw Tag Team Championships. Amos, AJ Styles are the champs going up against the new reformed RK Bro. Randy Orton made his return after a little bit of absence. Matt Riddle is just doing his thing on Raw and just being very silly. He's having a great time. Matches between AJ and Orton were great. AJ and Riddle have been great. But now's the culmination. It's what we've been kind of waiting for as they have built this thing through the Thunderdome and then back with live fans. Orton has turned on Riddle and has not, and they've come back and they're reunited for this thing. They need that big moment. This is going to be a huge, huge moment for fans to be able to see this. They want this to happen. I think that Riddle and Orton are going to win the tag team titles, and then they got to move on to a brand new story. But they're going to win those titles. They'll have the big, big moment in the ring. I don't think anybody's going to turn on anybody, but they are going to build this up as a huge, huge moment for Riddle and Orton. It's been one of the more enjoyable things on Raw out of the 3-hour show that we always get. So RK Bro is going to win, retain. They'll get a massive pop. They'll get a huge pop the next night on Raw when they both come out to do their celebration. And it gives Riddle more ammunition to work with as he gets even sillier that he's the tag champ with Randy Orton, and Randy Orton still has to kind of big brother dad Riddle and bring him down a notch. You might even just RKO him once a week just to smarten him up a little bit. Then I kind of wonder what they would do with AJ and Omos. They've been a good team. It's been trying to help Omos obviously develop and become better and more comfortable on Raw, working with AJ, which you probably couldn't ask for anything better. I think that you do need to see that split happen probably before WrestleMania, maybe by the Rumble, where Omos maybe eliminates AJ, something like that. I think they'll stick together for the time being, probably do a rematch. WWE will always do that, but they have the rematch for the Raw titles, and then they'll lose. And eventually, I think they will end up feuding together, and Omos will turn on AJ. Get that giant monster that Vince always wants. He's got the tag champs over there that are doing well, and AJ could go to SmackDown or do anything on Raw, and he's going to do a great job. RK Bro is going to win. Now, the Raw Women's Championship match. This is a big giant cluster F, isn't it? And I say that because they got Nikki Ash in there, who's the champion, going up against Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. Woo. And Daddy is going over in doing Triple Mania, and he's probably going to, Daddy Flair's probably going to show up at AEW, and it's just going to be silly, isn't it? He's with Andrade. I do like it very much. It's very funny. This one has been, this feud has been, to me, has been dragging on like forever. With Nikki cashing in, changing her character, cashing in Money in the Bank, winning Money in the Bank, all fell backwards. There was no build to it. She did the surprise cash in, which is a great moment, but it feels like Nikki Ash is not getting over to the degree that WWE wants her to get over. I really like the character. I really, really like it. I think it hits home for young women, girls. It could sell a ton of merch, superhero toys with Nikki on it. It's great, and Nikki enjoys for all we know, Nikki does enjoy the character and her kind of creation with this. She's crafted. It's great, but they have lacked, WWE on the creative side has lacked the build of the character. She's just switched one day and she was on camera and she said, I'm going to be the superhero now. It's great, but she's got to overcome the odds. And she's lost on TV and she's lost tag matches. And Charlotte is still very, very dominant. Rhea, I feel, is just kind of in the shuffle and not really getting enough shine. And it's always Charlotte that's getting way more shine. And Nikki's coming up short. I think that you almost need to have a bit of a reset when it comes to the Raw Championship here and actually have Nikki lose so that they can try to build her properly in this character. Let her get defeated and brought back down a bit, have self-doubt, and actually spend a few months trying to build her back up by having really good killer matches on TV every week. They need that to get her over more with the crowd with this character. Nikki herself is great as a talent and is over with the crowd, but the character and what they're doing with her week to week, the promos specifically for me have not landed because it is just the same thing she's spewing out every week. And I feel like she has been spinning her wheels week after week with this character. They need something to freshen up. And I worry that the crowd, maybe even at SummerSlam, is going to turn on Nikki a little bit, that they're just going to push away this character and say, we don't like it. And she's going to have to figure it out. I think Nikki is going to lose this one. And I think that they are going to just put the title on either Rhea or Charlotte. Let me know who you think that they would put the title on if it's not going to be Nikki. For this one, I think that they are going to go with actually putting the title on Rhea. Probably doesn't make all the sense in the world to do that, to be honest, but it's either, for me, it's either Rhea wins or Nikki retains. And I think that Nikki needs to lose the title in this story so she can, again, build herself back up long term. Rhea could then go off and do a different feud, maybe get Shayna Baszler back in the mix or something to actually have a new contender, somebody new to fight with. Flair should get cheated out of it or, not get pinned so she has an argument. Flair just won the title and lost the title off of Nikki, so I don't think Charlotte needs to be another round of whatever she is, 11, 12-time women's champion at this point within a matter of a year. You don't need the title on Charlotte. But what I do think it does is that it could potentially set things up for Charlotte and Becky to go at each other when Becky inevitably makes a return. Or Becky goes after Rhea and chases after the title that she never lost. I think those two, either Rhea or Charlotte, make sense having the title in that regard when it comes to Becky's return, because it would set things up very well. But we've seen Charlotte and Becky go at it for a very long time. It would be refreshing if we got Rhea and Becky go after it. That would be kind of cool because it'd be something new and different. They're both kind of faces. You could turn Rhea a little bit, or maybe Becky's coming back in as a heel and then they turn her babyface again. Right now, I think Nikki loses, and I'm going with Rhea Ripley is going to win the Raw Women's Championship. Okay, one of the big highlight matches of the night for myself is going to be Edge versus Seth Rollins. I have been loving what Seth Rollins has been doing as a character over these months. He is teasing and toying with the actual Universal Championship. It's getting really, really fun. Seth's suits are just dope, by the way. I just love his character work overall and what he's doing. He's transformed himself and he's rejuvenated his character since kind of coming back. I was worried that when Seth did come back originally, that he get kind of lost in the shuffle, that he was using his older gimmick that he had with AOP and all of that. And then he had the Disciples. He transitioned away from that. And now he is just like, he's that new version of Edge, but he's kind of crazy and psychotic, where he feels like he deserves it. And Edge is the one stopping him from winning the Universal Championship. It's his fault. I really like this. I like this feud. I like what they're doing with it. But I do think that it's going to be Edge's time to actually get that big stage, that big win that he actually needs. Edge has lost a couple of matches since he's come back. He doesn't have the best win record, like at all. Like he's beaten Orton. So with that, because he won the Rumble, he lost at WrestleMania, he lost his one-on-one with Roman. I think Edge needs the big win here because I don't think it's going to hurt Seth very much, as Seth is there week to week, and he can overcome that and get even more frustrated and even more nuts and crazy if he loses to Edge. Maybe Edge does a little cheat to win, and he gets the best of him. He's the opportunist, right? So I think Edge might outsmart Seth in this way and screw him out of his win somehow. But it could set up for a longer feud. I think that you could get a lot more out of these two if you did want to feud with them. You're going to get a couple matches out of Edge every single year, but I really like this. I think that you could have and need to have Edge win the SummerSlam match against Seth, and maybe you're going to extend this thing to 1-2 more matches going down the road, and then get Seth some more wins that way. Edge is going over in this one for me. WWE Championship. Bob Lashley, big man, going up against Goldberg and his son. Wasn't it silly when his son doesn't look like his the same Gage, whatever he is, Gage Goldberg doesn't even look the same anymore when they just panned to him on TV and he's all jacked up now as a big young teenage lad. And then 2 years ago or whatever it was, he was just a little chubby kid, little fat guy, and he was taking his little tummy out on TV and pulling his shirt up and showing his tummy to everybody on the ropes with Goldberg. That was all silly. They've done a lot of stuff in this feud in a short amount of time to build up heat between Lashley and Goldberg. They brought the son into the mix, chirping with MVP and Lashley on the side. Yeah, Goldberg basically stand tall at the end of Raw the other day. So I do not want Goldberg to win. I do not want it. I think it's going to be a 2-minute match, the 3-minute match, Goldberg match we've seen with him and Brock. I think that he'll have the same thing with Lashley. I want Lashley to win. I think he needs to win to build up Lashley even bigger so he can go on to have another giant feud down the road where he could maybe eventually get to Brock and take down Brock to establish Lashley as the next giant megastar that he is. A win over Goldberg maybe it doesn't seem like much because it's Goldberg coming back again to challenge again for the title, but putting over Lashley again does a lot for him. It sets him up to be able to take on legends like that, puts him up on a higher pecking order, and you've built a giant megastar, and that's what Vince wants. So I think Lashley goes over, but I do think that even if Lashley wins, you are going to get the finish of the match is going to end up in a schmoz where the Gage kid is going to come down and Goldberg's son it's going to be daddy and son. WWE really likes this, don't they? You got Mysterio and Dominic, you got Goldberg and his son. They like to do the father-son things on TV a lot. You're going to have the son come out. He's going to get a move in or something, or a spear. He's going to spear MVP. That's kind of my lock, is that you're going to see the Goldberg and the kid stand tall again at the end of the show, because that's what Bill wants. He wants it family friendly and being able to do something for his family to see. I think the son gets in the ring. We've seen it teased on the outside. He gets in there. He spears MVP at the end. Goldberg spears Lashley at the end. He doesn't win the title, but he gets to go home happy with his kid. Lashley retains. And our main event, presumably main event, is going to be John Cena versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. I am excited for this one. The promo that we had at the end of SmackDown the other day didn't land all the way for me. I thought it was really good, but I said this on our live stream the other day that it was missing a little bit of heat from Roman. I want to see Roman do a little bit more when it comes to that back and forth. We might get that on SmackDown for Friday night before, but we'll have to wait and see. This should be really good. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm curious to see where the crowd is going to land when it comes to John Cena getting him cheered a lot, or are they actually going to cheer for Roman Reigns? It's going to be interesting going into Vegas. I think they'll be much more pro Cena, but these two should have a really good match going 15-20 minutes. John's going to get all his big moves in. Roman is also going to take him out too. It could be shades of when they had Brock versus Cena years ago, and Brock actually dominated John Cena and then he went away. There's talk that John is actually going to be coming for another round of actual WWE tapings after SummerSlam. So I do think, though, it doesn't make sense to have John Cena go over in this one. I think Roman retains the title. He needs that big John Cena notch win under his belt. So I think we get Roman goes over. He either submits John or pins him clean. But if he submits him, maybe makes John Cena pass out so that he doesn't tap out. So John has kind of protected that way. But Cena doesn't have much of a problem putting other guys over as long as it makes sense. So I think he will do the job to Roman. I think he will put Roman over pretty clean. The question I always have is, where do we go from there? When you look at something specifically like Roman Reigns and the Universal Championship, where do you go after that? You beat John Cena. You still got to get through several months until we get to the Royal Rumble, then WrestleMania. So we're still about 5-6 months away from all of that. Where are you going to do from here? I think that you need to set up some minor feuds where you're going to have potentially Finn Balor come into the mix again, take on Roman for a few months as kind of a smaller feud, and then build up to something like either Brock, unless he's going to fight Lashley, or they're going to go down the path of maybe getting The Rock at WrestleMania. And that could be the big match for Roman Reigns. But I don't see the title coming off Roman anytime soon. I don't think they need to. He's the best thing they got going on SmackDown for story-wise. Love to see what they do. And last thing that I am excited, that I am hoping to see, just a crumb, as we say here on the show. WWE 2K22. Guys, we're going to get something. We might get the same bloody trailer again with Rey and Cesaro. We don't know, but we're going to get something at SummerSlam. I'm excited. It is co-presented by WWE 2K22. I feel like we're going to get a trailer. If we do, I will have that broken down for you on the show as it is going to happen. I'll give you full thoughts and opinions and rundowns if we do get any WWE 2K22 here on the show. But that is your predictions for this year's SummerSlam. Let me know your predictions. Who's going over? Who's going under? You got any surprises? I don't think we're getting any crazy surprises or returns or anything. Maybe Becky. Maybe. But they might want to save her for later. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Here on Assemble, I'm Matt. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed this episode. And as always, thank you all for assembling with us. See ya. We are